Yo, what's going on with y'all boys, man? Welcome back to another video. And the biggest trade in NFL history just happened. You know what I'm saying? Yes, I said it. The biggest trade in NFL history. When you have one of the greatest players to play the game get traded, it automatically goes up there in the ranks. And honestly, I can't even wrap my head around it. You know what I'm saying? I definitely like this trade for the Rams. You know what I'm saying? Because last season, the Rams defensively showed inconsistencies on the back end and in the pass rush at times. And basically, they addressed both in the best possible way. You know what I'm saying? By trading for Trent McDuffie and just now trading for Myles Garrett. It's either Super Bowl or bust. You know what I'm saying? Because you make a move like this, trading one of your franchise guys in Jared Verse, who was just a dog, who was a player that, you know, a lot of teams, probably every NFL team would want on their roster. When you trade him, it's not a guarantee that you're going to get better. But if you trade him for somebody like Myles Garrett, you're going to get better. You know what I'm saying? Especially at this point in his career. I definitely like this trade for Myles Garrett also. It was about time. You know, Myles Garrett, he's basically been the face of the franchise since he came in the league. And ultimately, they were doing him bad. You know, the Browns been doing him bad since he came into the league. You know, I think he only made the playoffs, one time? You know, throughout he's been in the league for 10 years. It seems like this was just a situation that was bound to happen. But I would have never thought that it would have been for somebody like Jared Verse. You know what I'm saying? Just a big of a dog. At this point in his career, Myles Garrett is light years ahead of Jared Verse. But when it's the way that Jared Verse is going, when it's all said and done, Jared Verse might also be in that conversation. And also just the fit. I like the fit for the Rams. Add more versatility on the line, because Myles Garrett can literally play all positions on the line. Outside linebacker, inside linebacker. He can play defensive lineman. He can play nose tackle at times. Like, he could just impact so many ways. And you had, like I said, you added Trent McDuffie, you know, earlier in the offseason. A player that you could just put on you could put on the opposing team's best player and just let them go to work. You know what I'm saying? They definitely cleaned up some holes in their defense that they had last season. You can definitely say that. And this is just a trade that ultimately it's either Super Bowl or bust. You know what I'm saying? Like, at this point, it's hard not to pick the Rams it's hard not to pick the Rams to win the Super Bowl. Best way to put it. If you don't have the Rams winning the Super Bowl, I don't know what else to tell you. It's like I said, it's either Super Bowl or bust. You have the reigning MVP and Matthew Stafford. You know, you have one of the best running backs in the league in Kyren Williams. You have the best defensive player, just not of today, but of NFL history. One of the best defensive players. You know, basically since he came in the league, double-digit sacks in every season. You don't have to worry about injuries. He's going to stay healthy. And if he can play every game for the Browns, he can play every game for any franchise. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm sure there were times where he probably there was plenty of times where he could have been like, you know what, I'm done. Either trade me or I'm not playing. Like I said, now you got Trent McDuffie, one of the best corners in the league. You know, last season he struggled a little bit in man-to-man coverage, but he was still one of the best corners in the league. You know what I'm saying? You paid him like it too. So, like I said, it's either Super Bowl or bust at this point. You got drafted Ty Simpson. You know what I'm saying? Got your QB for the future. It's looking dangerous in LA, man. Like I said, I like the fit for Myles Garrett. It ain't too many players that can stay in Cleveland that long and deal with that losing. You know what I'm saying? Every year, time in and time out, it's the same result. And he's just a player that can literally change a defense. Ultimately, the Rams are going to have the best defense in the league next year. You know what I'm saying? If everything goes well and he can stay healthy and he can, you know, at this point, if he can just stay healthy, the Rams are going to have the best defense in the league, and they're going to go to the Super Bowl. they might steamroll to the Super Bowl. Because at this point, it's what else do you need? You have everything. One of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, you know? And usually that's what make or break teams, championship teams. And you have one of the best of all time. One of the most consistent of all time. What else could you ask for if you're within a Rams organization or a Rams fan or playing for the Rams? You have everything. It's Super Bowl or bust, and we'll see what happens, you know? I think for the Browns, it was also a good trade. You know what I'm saying? Even though you traded Myles Garrett, you know what I'm saying, one of the best defenders of all time, your anchor of your entire franchise. Like I said, I feel like he should have still been in MVP conversation, even if the team was losing. Definitely one of the most valuable players to the franchise. But if you're the Browns, what else could you have gotten? You basically gotten the best case scenario. You got just as big of a dog, somebody that want to win, somebody that's, you know, coming from a winning franchise, somebody like, it's not much, you're not going to get better. Even no matter who you trade, or no matter who you trade for, a player like Myles Garrett, you're not going to get much better regardless. You know what I'm saying? So I think this is just the best case scenario. You know what I'm saying? You get Jared Verse, who, when it's all said and done, he might be up there in conversations with Myles Garrett. You know what I'm saying? He might not have the double-digit sacks every season, but when it comes to impacting the game and having that dog in you and showing heart and just aggressiveness and physicalness, Jared Verse is that. And he's also just another playmaker that can just make plays, you know, can line them up anywhere across the defensive line. Outside, inside, it don't matter. Linebacker, he's just going to show you, you know, he can pretty much do everything on the defensive side, on the line. Because you don't want to line him up there in the secondary. So let me not say everything, but you can line him up. He's also another player that you could just be versatile with. And like I said, I like what the Browns doing. They got younger, you know what I'm saying? It's never a bad situation, especially in the NFL, when if you can get younger, you know? Yeah, so I like this trade for both sides. You know what I'm saying? You got it. Like I said, if you're trading somebody like Myles Garrett, you have to get it out of your head that you're going to get better. You know what I'm saying? Or you're going to get a better player at that time in return. Just get that out of your head, because Myles Garrett, arguably the best player in the league. So you got to get that out of your head. But what do you still want to get as close as possible to the best player? You know what I'm saying? You still want to get close, somebody that can have a similar impact of Myles Garrett. And at this point, you got the closest you can get, because Jared Verse can pretty much, he can't do everything Myles Garrett can do, but as far as the versatility, the aggressiveness, the physicalness, he has it. You know what I'm saying? I still don't understand. I don't know if this pushes the needle as far as making you a better team. For the Rams, it automatically makes them a better team. But for the Browns, I don't know. They're still in no man's land. But I like the fact that they're finding a sense of direction of being youthful. You know, they drafted Denzel Boston, you know, Casey Concepcion. You know what I'm saying? They're finding something in Cleveland. You know, I can see the vision. You know, I think ultimately it's just going to depend on the QB position. But I already gave my thoughts on that. If you haven't seen that video, go see it. Ultimately, it just comes down to the QB position. Once they find that QB position, I really see something happening in Cleveland. You know, just for decades, that's just been the biggest problem. They done had some good teams, but that's just been the biggest problem. But yeah, I see something happening, you know? And Jared Verse is one of those players that can change the culture of a team just because of the personality and, you know, like I said, the dog that he brings. I'm sure he not going to go in Cleveland and expect to lose. No, he a winning player, winning plays. Even when he down, he still make winning plays, you know? Like I said, he's a culture setter, you know? So we'll definitely see, you know, new head coach, basically a new core player in your franchise. you're basically gonna have a new offense, you know, because you added some help on the offensive line in free agency. You drafted, you know, 2 solid receivers, 2 of the best receivers in college football last season. You know, now you have a new cornerstone with Jared Verse, culture setter. You still have Denzel Ward. You know, it's something building over there in Cleveland. We'll see. You know, it's a fresh start for Cleveland. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got for this video. I appreciate y'all for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Y'all let me know down below. Is this a good trade, bad trade? What do you see happening for the 2 sides? Are the Rams gonna get better or worse? What's the outcome you see coming from this trade?